Marines, sailors, family members, civilian Marines. Sergeant Major Barrett and I are here at the Armory at the Basic School down at Quantico. And the purpose is to talk to you about where we are, as much as we know today with regards to sequestration and continuing resolution and all the different things and possibilities that are going on that are either obvious or some things we're not even sure of yet. But we want to talk to you about them. I published a white letter last Saturday, and in that I promised you that we would come to you with a video just as soon as we had more information. So at the end of this week, I want to tell you what we know now, and I want to give you a sense of assurance that your leadership is paying very close attention to what's happening with its Department of Defense and its Marine Corps. I want everybody to understand one thing. The service chiefs have appeared before Congress in 4 different hearings in the last 3 weeks. And the single message we've got from just uniformly across all members of Congress, both in the Senate and the House, is they want to help us. They understand. They're our best friends. The Marine Corps exists today because of the great support of Congress. So everybody is on this, everybody's pulling together, and I want you to know that we're paying very close attention. Now, let me kind of paint the picture here because I need to build a watch just a little bit for you. The role of the Marine Corps is America's crisis response force. We respond to today's crisis with the force we have today, not 45 days from now, not 30 days from now, but today. To be able to do that requires us to maintain a very high state of readiness. And that's what we do, and you know that. That's what we do for our nation. Between now and the end of the fiscal year, which is the end of September, we have a $1.4 billion bill that's been levied on the United States Marine Corps. We've got a shortfall of that. And then beginning the fiscal year, which is October the 1st of this year, for the next 9 years, we have a $2 billion shortfall, and we have to figure out how we're going to pay for that. As a commandant, I've got essentially 3 pots of money I can deal with, or 3 levers. One is the personnel lever. Right now, we're at 193,000 Marines, and we're going down from 202 to 193 down to 182,000. You're aware of that. So that's money. That's people and money. I've got that lever. The second lever I've got is equipment, and that's the recapitalization of the equipment that's coming out of Afghanistan, sending it through the depots, getting it reset. That's also the new equipment that we're buying, whether it be a weapon system, or whether it be an airplane, or whether it be a new ground tactical vehicle or the amphibious combat vehicle. That's equipment. So that's my second lever, or my second pot of money. And the third pot of money I've got to deal with as I try to balance the Marine Corps is what we call operations and maintenance. That's the money we use to pay for ammunition. That's the money we use to pay for our fuel. That's the money we use to pay for our training at 29 Palms, our professional military education. It's all the money that kind of comes together to help raise and increase our level of readiness. My job right now, and the thing that we're working on, the entire leadership of the Corps, is to make sure that we've got a balanced force so that when the klaxon sounds and the President and the Secretary of Defense says, send in the Marines, we're ready.
We must be focused on readiness. Readiness defines our ability to respond to crisis and fulfill what the nation expects from her Corps. We are going to maintain and bring in and recruit high-quality people. We're going to maintain our unit readiness. We're going to provide the geographical combatant commanders with capability and capacity. For Marines, readiness is everything. We will preserve the readiness of our Marines who are engaged in combat. We will keep deploying units fully manned, trained, and equipped. We will do our best to ensure the units preparing to deploy have the resources and training necessary for the next mission. This will, in the short term, ensure we remain ready for the fight and for any crisis.
To be able to do this, we've got our folks right now juggling accounts and moving money around. We've moved $450 million just within the last 30 days. $280 million of that dollars went to what we call the operational forces. Those are the forces that are next to deploy. Our forces in Afghanistan aboard MEUs, those that are forward deployed in the Pacific, those that are in the Persian Gulf, they're all in a very high state of readiness. So not to worry about that. But I've moved this money into readiness so that all those forces that are getting ready to go will also be prepared to deploy in that same high state of readiness. So where am I getting the money from? We're taking it out of facility sustainment. Congress has been generous enough in the last 5 to 6 years to give us $2.3 billion worth of new BEQs, new facilities, new armories, new headquarters. All that requires money to maintain them. Our bases and stations, our education system. I'm taking money and moving them out of there between now and the fiscal year so that we are ready to deploy at a moment's notice. So we're going to continue to do this. At some point, and you've already figured this out, this will become unsustainable. I told Congress yesterday in a testimony that I'm going to continue to do this until we run out of money. I'm not naive enough to think that we can do this for forever. We do have to recapitalize the Marine Corps. We do have to modernize the Marine Corps. We have to prepare it for the future. But in the short term, I'm moving money around, and this is going to require all of us to take a different perspective on your piece of the Marine Corps, and it's going to require all of us to take a look at how we sacrifice for the good of the institution.
What does this mean, Marines? It means we're going to continue to sacrifice. We're going to continue to live hard, train hard, and fight hard, providing our nation the capability to contain crisis, to fill the gap, and hold the line. We don't know when or where we're going to fight next, but know that we are ready to leave tonight. In preparation for these budget cuts, base and unit commanders have already begun to conserve resources. You may see hour changes in certain facilities around the installation. You may see gate hours change. Across our bases and stations, you will begin to see decreased facility maintenance and sustainment. Marines, we must continue to train smart and fight smart.
Marines, I need you to understand how you fit in on this. If you understand what's going on and you understand all that we're trying to do to maintain the very essence of why America has a Marine Corps, then you're more apt to understand when I ask you to save every round, every gallon of gas, that you take every single aspect or opportunity in training to get the most bang for the buck. This is no time to do business as usual. Things have changed. The landscape's changed. I need you to be conservative in the way you do business. I need you to think about conserving our assets. And I need you to become part of the solution as it relates to sacrifice. We're all in this together. At the end of the day, the Marine Corps has got to be ready to deploy. And that's why our focus is on a high state of readiness. You know, my civilian Marines are important to me, as is all of our Marines. But right now, under sequestration, my civilian Marines are scheduled to be furloughed. You need to know how critically important you are to me. 95% of our civilian Marines are long outside of Washington, D.C. 30% of you are eligible to retire. 68% of you are veterans. And 18% of you are wounded Marines and soldiers and sailors and airmen that have come to work for the United States Marine Corps. You're important to me. You're the connecting tissue that provides the continuity to keep all our programs going. And you have my word that I have your best interest at heart, and I'm going to do my very, very best to keep faith with you and to protect your job. All right. I've gone back in the last 60 days, and I've read all that former commandants have said about going through similar periods of austerity. Yes, this is a bit different. But I'll tell you, after every major conflict, and we're not quite out of this conflict, which makes this one a little bit different, but after every major conflict, the Department of Defense takes about a 30% reduction in its federal budget. We're on our way down. It's going to happen. We're going into a period of austerity. So this, in some ways, we've seen before. Maybe not exactly, maybe not precisely the same, but to some degree, the Marine Corps has been here before. As I've gone back through and read the readings of those great commandants that have gone before me, the single theme that they've said to me in writing is, we'll get through it okay. We may be leaner, we may be smaller. We're going to be okay. My intent is to keep faith with you. Sergeant Major Barrett's intent, the senior leadership of the Marine Corps' intent is, we're going to keep faith with our Marines, our sailors, our family members, and our civilian Marines. Sergeant Major and I get it. It's our intent to come to you as often as we need to, as often as we have fresh information. and we'll use this same venue and to come back and update all of you. God bless the Marines, and Semper Fidelis.